We'll begin our next turn by rolling the initiative phase to see who activates and who goes first. And our players rolled a 4, zombies rolled a 2. Again, everyone will activate, but the players will get to act first because they have the higher number. The players get to activate first with their 4, which is equal to or less than both their reputations. And I'm going to have Beck search first to see if we can find anything and take advantage of the fact that we get to go first. Then maybe exit the building quickly, but even if I do that, they could probably catch up to me. So I'll take a different course of action. I think I'll have Beck leave the building and fire on that zombie right there. Beck fires her pistol and rolls a 3, plus her reputation gives her a 7. We can see here on our ranged combat table, a 3 to 7, or anything that's 7 or less, is going to be a miss. So she fired a weapon and missed. Now you're probably asking, why didn't I just fire from inside the building? Well, the rules state that if the center dot to center dot, so I'm moving center dot of this hex to the center dot of that hex, if at any time that line passes through a building or rough terrain, in this case it passes through a building, hex that has rough terrain or a building in it, then line of sight is blocked, so therefore I couldn't fire from inside the building. Next I have Tonya. I'm actually going to have Tonya use 2 movement points to enter the house. Then I'll flip this token over. Then the building will be considered searched. And you can't search it again once it's been searched. We'll grab our deck of loot cards and unfortunately come up empty. So there's nothing inside that building. Now we just have to see what the zombies are going to do. Our zombies are now going to activate. This one way down here can move 3, so we'll get him closer. Now this one has to make a choice. It can use 2 movement points here to enter the building, or use 2 movement points here. So since it's the same number of movement points, I would have to determine it randomly. So I will roll a die, and then 1, 2, 3 in the building, 4, 5, 6 up here. I rolled a 4, so that zombie is going to move here with Beck. This one also has a 5 and can use 3 movement points, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. So that one will have to be random, and I'll just keep the same numbers. This time I got a 3, so that zombie will enter the building with Tonya. This zombie can only move 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Determine random, and it's a 1. And then let me check that one real quick. And it's a 2. So both of these zombies will also enter the building with Tonya and engage. Next we have this zombie that can only move 3. So he is definitely going to go up here, because he doesn't have enough movement points to even get into the building, but he has enough to reach the spot where Beck is at. Now that all the enemies have moved, if any enemies ended up in the same space, same hex as a player character, then we have to do a test for being rushed. Now to check for being rushed, since there are zombies in our spaces and we're not there previously, and that's different than if you enter a building, you take 2d6 and you're going to roll against the rep. Now I'm only going to do this for Beck and I'll explain why in a minute. So Beck rolls and she gets 1 success and 1 failure. Now the being charged, I called it being rushed, but it's being charged reaction test. Now you can see it says here, stars can choose their reaction. Now since Tonya has a star, she can choose what's going to happen to her on this chart. Now Tonya is definitely going to choose those that can fire. Those that can will fire, then melee. So she's going to get to fire her weapon once and then go into melee. Now Beck, she only passed with 1d6. She is outside, so she's not in rough terrain or a building. She's in a clear hex. Those in clear hex is charged by 3 or more enemy. So she was charged by 2, so she's okay. Others may not fire and will melee instead, so she doesn't get a chance to fire her weapon, so she will have to just engage in melee combat. First we'll have Tonya fire off her shot before moving into melee combat. She rolled a 5, and her rep of 5 gives her a total of 10, and we already know that that's a hit, so that'll eliminate 1 zombie. Tonya fired a shot that will mark, and then we'll eliminate another one of those fast movers. Throw him back into the cup. And now we have 2 zombies left there, 2 zombies left here, and we'll engage in melee combat now. First we'll engage with Tonya. She fired a shot. We'll take care of hers first. She's in a building with 2 zombies, and she has a rating of 2 for melee combat. Now that is 2 successes and 2 successes. Now, if both sides get a success and it's equal, both sides score the same number of successes. Both zombies and survivors remain in hex until their next activation. And then again, they can choose whether to leave or engage in melee. So we'll do the same thing for Beck now, who has a reputation of 4, melee of 2, and she also has 2 zombies. And same result. She has 1 success, they have 1 success, so neither side will take wounds. The players got to move, the zombies got to activate. The only thing we have left to do this round is to resolve each of these shots to see if a zombie is spawned and attracted by the sound of that gun. We'll roll for Tonya first, and it will not spawn a zombie. And Beck's shot does not, so get some lucky rolling so far. No zombies are spawned from our gunfire. Both of these shots are resolved without attracting any more zombies, and that will move us into our next turn. All Things Zombie by Lock and Load Games continues. We have a situation here that we need to deal with. We got Beck on the outside of the house, Tonya on the inside of the house. We didn't find anything inside. But we have a lot of zombies here that are stacked under, so we need to figure out what kind of strategy we're going to do here. First thing we have to deal with is initiative. Zombies rolled a 2. Player characters rolled a 6. That's really bad. Normally the highest die would go first, but in this case, this is higher than both of our reps, so we don't get to do anything. No activation for the player characters this turn. Only the zombies will activate. First I want to move this zombie that's on the outside. Now he has a movement of 3. So he cannot make it into the house. That would require 4. and he cannot make it to Beck. So I'll move him as full 3. So he's right next to the house and right next to Beck. And next activation he would be able to move in. With Beck here, we have 2 zombies she's dealing with. And with Tonya, we also have 2 zombies she's dealing with. Now, even though we began the turn already engaged with those zombies, we still have to take a being charged check or do a test for being charged to find out what the outcome of that is before we proceed into the melee. Both of our characters are having to contend with a pair of zombies each. So we have to do a being charged reaction test. First we'll do Beck, because she's the only one that doesn't have a star, because the stars can choose their reaction. And this test goes against her reputation, which is 4, so she only has the 1 success. We can see on the reaction table, if you only pass with 1d6, well, she's not in rough terrain or a building hex. Those in clear hexes charged by 3 or more, well, there's only 2. And then they may not fire, so she's not going to get a chance to fire her weapon this time. She's only going to just dive right into engaging in melee combat. And for Tonya, we don't have to roll her dice at all. We'll choose her reaction, so we're going to have her fire a shot off and then engage in melee. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. We'll fire that shot off. With her reputation of 5, you add 3 to it. That gives us 8. And we already know that on the range combat table that engaging a zombie is going to be a hit. We have a few modifications to make before we head into melee. One of Tonya's shots, or her only shot, was successful. So we'll remove a zombie and mark that we fired off 1 round there, and now we can head into melee combat. We'll start off with Beck, who's fighting 2 zombies and has her melee level of 2. Now the zombies have a rep of 4, so they only have the 1 success, and her rep of 4, so she has 2 successes. So that worked out really good for her. And when the survivor scores more successes, that means 1 zombie is going to be killed. Now we'll move on to Tonya, who is only engaging with 1 zombie now thanks to that great shot she made inside the house. And that would only be 1 success for her and 1 success for the zombie, but she has the ability to reroll 1 die, and now she has 2 successes against the zombie's 1. And since she has more successes and she's fighting a zombie, that means that zombie will be eliminated. That was very successful. Tonya took care of the zombie in the building, the only remaining, and Beck took care of 1 here and is still engaged with another. But we're doing a lot better now. We only have the 1 zombie engaged with Beck and the 1 outside the building. Now we have to resolve that shot to see if any new zombies are going to appear. We resolve our shot, and it will attract another zombie. So this shot is resolved. You draw a zombie from the cup, and we'll get a zombie coming in at number 4, which is the bottom left part of that hex. 6 spaces away. The shot was here with Tonya. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So we have another zombie on the board to deal with, but he's only able to move 3, and he's far away, so he's not an immediate threat of any kind. The players do not get to activate this turn. That's the end of this turn. Roll right into the next one.